Okay, so I clicked on the button that says live. It says that I'm live on the computer monitor. It says I've been live for 15 seconds now. There I finally am on the phone. Okay, so today I have to unbox for you the Mcfarlane Deluxe Theatrical Edition. Uh, Batman Returns, the Penguin. Uh, Toy Bonia is here and says, "Hi, Alan, it's me, Toy Bonia. Hi." Glad to have you here. All right, so yeah, hope you're doing well today. So yeah, I've got the Danny DeVito Penguin from Batman Returns. So we're going to talk a little bit about this version of the character. Other than it saying the Penguin on it rather than Batman, it's pretty much the same exact box that we got for the Michael Keaton Batman that we opened last episode. Got the same poster on the back. Got the the snow blasted Batman emblem over here on the side. Toy Bonia says, "I love you." Oh, that's sweet. Oh, thank you. So so anyway, yeah, it's the same box. It's the same box. They didn't do anything different, which disappoints me because like they use this just the regular movie poster on the back, but each one of these characters had their own sort of like teaser poster they could have used. They could have put a little more effort into this box, is what I'm saying, especially considering how it's a deluxe theatrical edition. Happy Friday the 13th to you too. I woke up this morning and I looked at my Facebook and I saw a bunch of Jason Voorhees memes and I'm like, is it Friday the 13th again already? Well, hopefully I'll have good luck this Friday the 13th, despite the superstition. And of course, I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious. Dang, this doesn't want to come up. So I almost forgot about this with Batman last time, so I want to make sure that I get it this time. We got the figure stand, and we got the trading card. And I'm pretty sure this trading card is going to be pretty much the same as the Batman trading card again. It's going to have probably the same bio on it. It's going to be like only a little bit different. So here we got, it's just a matte black figure stand with a white DC logo on it, which again, I feel like the white is appropriate because it fits with the overall aesthetic of a lot of that Batman Returns merchandise from back in the day, where they'd have a black and white bat symbol. Toy Bonia says, "What Jason Voorhees memes away? That's too funny." Yeah, there was just like a friend of mine had like some artwork he'd put up, and I'd seen us. Who's Matt Black? It's Jack's brother. Jack's less successful brother, skinny fella. Lone Dragon says, "I want that wave of figures. Penguin was the only one I even saw." Yeah, I was like I said, I wasn't even able to get all of them myself. I'm pretty sure that the Penguin Commandos were just an exclusive to the Mcfarlane Toys website, and those sold out pretty quick, as I recall. And Max Shrek is another one that's like been hard to find. So I don't know if I'll be able to get a Max Shrek, but I did a while back get the Christopher Walken figure from Dune, and I bought an extra Joker. So I was gonna make my own Max Shrek anyway, and I wound up not doing that because I'm like, well, if they're gonna make a Max Shrek figure, I could probably just get that one, but I wasn't able to get it. So I might still wind up doing my custom. We'll see. What does Jason Voorhees mean? Jason Voorhees, from Friday the 13th with the hockey mask and the machete and kills people. The Camp Crystal Lake, all that stuff. Man, if I'd have thought about it, I'd tried to get a Jason action figure to open on Friday the 13th. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll, because I've talked about doing that before. Maybe I should just buy a Jason figure and set it aside for one Friday the 13th sometime in the future. So here we go out of the package, and you can see he's a short little fella. Doesn't take up that much to the pack. There's a whole lot of empty space at the bottom. And he comes with 2 accessories. Which are, the 2 accessories you'd probably want your Penguin figure to come with if you could only pick 2 accessories. That's a top hat and an umbrella. Now, I've said this about many Penguin figures in the past, and I'm going to say it about this one. I wish he came with more than one umbrella. I think it would be nice to have a Penguin figure that just comes with like a whole arsenal of umbrellas, especially since he had a number of different umbrellas in the movie. You could have the Hypno umbrella and the kitty lure umbrella. I'm not sure what to call it. The one where it's like a baby mobile. So there's the umbrella. We can get a good look at that. I was holding it up a second ago, and I'm holding it up over my black T-shirt, and it's like I'm not holding anything. You can't even hardly see it. But there it is. And I was thinking, like when I first looked at it, that maybe it was a reuse of the previous Penguin umbrella, because I know the one from the Arkham City Penguin figure, they reused that one for the comic book, the classic Penguin, and of course the Colin Farrell one just didn't come with an umbrella at all, because why would the Penguin come with an umbrella? That's silly. But no, this one, it just has kind of a plain umbrella handle and not the bird handle that the other one had. So it's not a reuse of that one. But I would not be surprised if I was to compare the two of them, if it was a retool of that umbrella. So let me go ahead, and he's got like rubber tabs, like multiple rubber tabs around his belly here. So we'll go ahead and cut those. Yeah, that's 4 rubber tabs. That's and it's not 2 double rubber tabs. Look at this. It's yeah. If you can see this, it is 2 double rubber tabs. Never mind, I was wrong. Yeah, they got 2 double rubber tabs around his tummy. Oh, and he's got rubber tabs around his there's a single rubber tab around his ankles. And then he's got one around each one of these wrists. And I'm hoping these didn't, crease up his jacket permanently. So yeah, I always wanted an action figure of the movie version of the Penguin. And you might be saying they didn't make one at the time. No, they didn't make one at the time. At the time, what they did, and I'm not sure why Kenner did this, but the Penguin figure that Kenner made for their Batman Returns line was just a repaint of the Superpowers Penguin, which obviously was cheap to do. But I'm not sure if that was the only reason why they did it. They might not have had reference to get a truly movie accurate Penguin figure out in time, because they were being ridiculously secretive with this design for the movie. I mean, like Danny DeVito literally had like a little tent that he would walk to the set in. They just put a tent around him and walk with this tent around. They didn't want people to see him. So they were keeping him secret. So it's possible Kenner might not have even known what he looked like, and probably just said, it's Danny DeVito as the Penguin. Just he already looks like the Penguin anyway. Just put him in just reuse the Superpowers figure. It already looks like Danny DeVito. What the hell? I mean, what are they going to do to him? It's not like they're going to make him look like some kind of hideous mutant or something. I'm going to go ahead and put the inside of the box back into the... Don't follow, just stand there. He might be one that's going to have a hard time standing up, which is ironic because he's a thick little guy. But I already got all the accessories out of there, so I might as well put that back together and take that down to recycling. Lone Dragon said, yeah, Shrek was the one I wanted the most. Yeah, they did do a nice job with that figure. Hopefully, I can get one at some point. But right now he's really expensive. Maybe the price will go down. Sometimes that happens. I did recently, so it's going to be probably one of the next figures I open up, probably next week sometime. I did finally get the Strange Lives of Superman figure, which I really wanted, and I wound up having to pay a little bit of a premium for that. But not too much. I think it maybe about like $10 more than it should have been, maybe 15. I don't know. But that one was a really hard figure to find. I never saw that at retail at all. Uh, Damien Damien Ristori says, no toy company is perfect. I know Todd gets flack. However, I can't complain about the Batman 66 and movie figures. You think Mattel will do these? I think they won't. Time will tell. Well, Mattel actually did do Batman 66 figures back when they had the license. Back when WB first got their deal with Fox where they could merchandise stuff from the show. And so they did do some back then, but they didn't do a line anywhere near as exhaustive as Mcfarlane did. I think they did Batman, Robin, the four main villains, and they did two versions of Catwoman, I think. And then they did Batgirl was like a convention exclusive because they weren't able to get the Yvonne Craig's likeness rights until the last minute. And Mcfarlane also had a problem getting Yvonne's likeness rights for whatever reason. And I have that one that they later on put her out in a 3-pack with Batman and Robin. That's still in the box. I still have that one in the box. But yeah, they didn't go anywhere near as hard as Mcfarlane did, where we had characters like Egghead and Bookworm and King Tut and Alfred, and technically also Mattel did do a Batman 66 Alfred figure, but it was just like an extra head that came with a regular comic book Alfred, and the other heads they had with that were Michael Gough and the Outsider. And honestly, I thought the Michael Gough head was the best of those, so that's the one that I currently have on that figure. But yeah, I'm behind on the chat. Let's see if I can get caught up a little bit. Damien Ristori says, hopefully we see Ra's al Ghul from Batman Begins before he stops DC figures. Yeah, I do have actually. Hopefully this will be coming up soon too, because I just had them ship it to me. So they haven't shipped it yet, but I just told them to ship it to me. The Big Bad Toy Store order that I have is going to have the re-release of Joker and Bane from the Dark Knight trilogy. So I'm looking forward to those. Yeah, Ra's would be really cool. That's another one I think I could probably make a custom of if they don't get a chance. But like, I think he's the only, at least the only male Batman villain that McFarlane has not made from the Dark Knight trilogy. Because we got Bane, Two-Face, two versions of Scarecrow, a few versions of Joker, all of which have been hard to find. But thankfully I finally have that one on the way to me. I don't think we got a Ra's al Ghul at all, did we? No, we got Bane as a Build-A-Figure, and he's getting his own release coming up, so that's good. I'll be glad to have him. And let's see, is this felt? This jacket's made of felt. So yeah, I definitely would want to have Ra's al Ghul. So I think Ra's and Talia are the only villains that we haven't gotten figures of. Toy Bonnie says, I can make Alan games for you. This is not going to be a fucking prototype. Well, what kind of game would you make about me? Like some dude sitting on his couch opening up action figures. They keep dropping action figures in his lap, and they keep piling up around him. And he's trying to open them, and he can't open them fast enough. Damien Rosori says Danny as the Penguin was brilliant. I was 10 when that movie came out, but I can't forget that scene. Could be worse. My nose could be gushing blood. What a scene, perfectly done. Yeah, like the part I always remember that too is like Jan Hooks in that scene, because I had a crush on Jan Hooks when I was younger, and I'd like to fill her void. Teach her my French flipper trick. Toy Bonnia says, I hope you see the Five Nights at Freddy figures. I've never actually played that game. Yeah, like I've never played Five Nights at Freddy's. I did when I was a kid enjoy going to Showbiz Pizza, which is what, Five Nights at Freddy's was based off of. Well, that and Chuck E. Cheese, obviously, but I always preferred Showbiz over Chuck E. Cheese. Freddy himself does seem to me like he's more based on Chuck E. Cheese. Charles Edward Cheese, if we want to be formal about it. All right, so I think I'm finally caught up with the chat. So let's go ahead and talk about the figures, since I've been meaning to do that for a minute. Let's take off his coat so we can see what the figure looks like underneath. And the Penguin is not wearing any kind of tailcoat underneath this, which I don't think he did in the movie either. I think he just wore the overcoat over it. And you can see the overcoat has a very furry collar, which I very much like. Lone Dragon says, anyone with discerning taste prefers Showbiz. Well, who am I to argue? Like, yeah, like it's really sad how that turned out. Like, I saw a video about it here on YouTube where they were talking about how like basically the guy who created the Showbiz characters, the Rock of Fire Explosion, those actually were more popular characters at the time than Chuck E. Cheese. And basically it was one of those things where it's like, I think that both sides probably did not handle that, that deal very well, because basically like when Chuck E. Cheese merged with Showbiz, originally they wanted to keep those Rock-afire characters, but they basically went to the guy who owned those characters and said, hey, you're going to give us those for free, otherwise we're just going to use the Chuck E. Cheese characters. And he's like, yeah, I'm not going to give you my characters for free. Like, I say both sides could have handled this better, but honestly, I kind of think that the Showbiz Pizza were the bad guys. I'm not the corporation, not the guy who owned the characters. I think they were kind of more the bad guys in this situation. Even though I also think the guy who owned it probably could have maybe said, "Hey, how about instead you just give me X amount?" But I don't think he wanted to sell those characters anyway. But they wanted to own those characters outright. So they wound up switching over to the Chuck E. Cheese characters, and unfortunately, the Showbiz. The Rock of Fire Explosion fell into obscurity, sadly. So, but it's popular culture's loss, really, more than anybody else's. So he's got some interesting articulation that I want to talk about, and a lot of good detail on this figure. Like, I don't know if you can see this on the screen, but you see how it's actually got like a texture sculpted into the vest. Yeah, granted, it's a lot easier to do this kind of stuff with, today's sort of digital sculpting and everything, but it's still really impressive to see. And like I said, Kenner never made a proper movie Penguin figure. I had to just kind of, just kind of pretend the Batman animated series version was that, because he was kind of based off of that. And I've talked a number of times about how, like, I really like the Batman animated version because I kind of felt like it was the best of both worlds as far as the Penguin was concerned. Like, personality-wise, he was closer to what he was in the old comic books, but visual-wise, he did look kind of like the Danny DeVito character in the movie, which I did really like this look. I thought this was a cool look. And excuse me, the Penguin's personality in the comic book was quite a bit different from what it wound up being in Batman Returns. The Batman Returns version was a bit more sleazy and animalistic, but I still feel like they did a really good job of capturing the most important aspect of the Penguin's personality, which is that like he wants people to look at him as being, classy and respectable. And you can see this is his outfit where he's trying to be classy and respectable. They did make the Penguin duck with him in his union suit, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to get that either. But maybe one day I'll be able to hunt one down. Who knows? But yeah. So even though they changed up the character's personality quite a bit and his origin and everything like that, I kind of feel like the core of the character is still there. So I really like this version of the Penguin overall. Yeah. To me, the most important thing about the Penguin, and you can see this on the 1960s television show, like a lot of the times the Penguin scheme is trying to convince everybody that he's gone straight and he's got some kind of legitimate business going on. But deep down, he's always going to be that brutal thug that he really is underneath everything. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this hat to fit on him correctly, but we'll try in a little bit. I do want to go ahead and talk about the articulation while I got the jacket out. And dang, you guys have been busy in the chat again. Yeah. Lone Dragon says Charles Entertainment Cheese is his name. Exactly. Toy Bonilla says Five Nights at Freddy's since in 2014 on Five Nights at Freddy's 1 and Five Nights at Freddy's 2. F1 is December. Well, how about that? Damien Ristori says, have you heard of any company is willing to take over Marvel Select DST Toys? Just curious if anyone you'd suggest could continue the lines. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I kind of suspect that was just kind of like one of the leftovers from like the old Toy Biz days, and they just managed to hold on to that contract somehow. I kind of feel like Hasbro seems like the kind of people that they snatch up everything they can. So if they can prevent somebody from doing that, they will. But yeah, that's a good question. I know that they had some figures. I don't know if Diamond was making them, but I know they had some figures in that style at the Disney store not long ago. So it's possible, the Disney store might want to have something exclusive. I don't know if the Disney store is even still a thing. I know they had one at the Mall of Georgia, but I haven't been to the Mall of Georgia in like a really long time. Damien Ristori says Batman animated Mad Hatter was one of my favorite characters. If we ever see him in a movie, I hope it's in a Matt Reeves film. I don't know if Matt Reeves would be the right guy to do the Mad Hatter, honestly, because like he's one of those that wants to try to do everything like super grounded. And the Mad Hatter, this thing is like mind control. So I'd really like to see somebody go back to doing Batman movies that are a little more over the top and operatic in the Tim Burton kind of. No, don't try to do like an exact Tim Burton movie. Don't try to copy him. But like I kind of felt like the Ben Affleck version of Batman was kind of getting back to that sort of comic booky sort of thing, and then they went with Robert Pattinson, and it is not for me, man. Sorry. Fun fact, says Lone Dragon, Penguin's mother in Batman Returns was played by the same lady that was Simone in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That's right, and she'll even go to conventions, and she'll have her waitress uniform from Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which is really cool. So let's see, where was I? Toy Bonnie says, hi, extortion story. And Damien Ristori says, I think Zach Oates is with Mattel now. Well, I don't think Hasbro and Mattel would be able to work out something like that. I know they've done some crossover stuff, but I don't think they would let them do just like a line of Marvel figures, like just plain Marvel figures. They might be able to work out something where like they sub-license like for a Masters of the Universe crossover, or God, for like a DC Marvel crossover. Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be cool if Mattel and Hasbro, since they're doing deals for crossover stuff anyway with their own properties, what if they were able to do something with the licensed properties and do like some 2-packs? Like they got a Superman, Spider-Man comic book coming out soon. what if they actually did like a Superman Spider-Man 2-pack? That would be a really cool thing to see. I think that would be neat. So anyway, let's talk about his articulation, because I've been meaning to do this for a minute now. So his head does rotate all the way around, but it's got that long hair and this collar that it's kind of bumping into. So it's a really tight turn. And just because of the nature of the anatomy of the character, with that little bit of a hump back, it's going to turn at a little bit of an angle. It does seem like it moves up and down just a little bit, and from side to side just a very little bit, but not a whole lot. Penguin's arms rotate all the way around at the shoulders, of course, and it does seem like it's got like a little bit of wiggle room here, but not a whole lot. You can see there's not a spacer in there or anything, but it does seem like it's articulated in the same way that Mcfarlane shoulder joints are usually articulated, but not there's not a whole lot of room there. So, and he's gonna wear a jacket over all this anyway. So, and then the arm rotates all around the biceps. So we got a bicep swivel. We got double jointed elbows. That's about the range of motion you get at the elbows. For a deluxe theatrical figure, I don't think this guy came with a whole lot of accessories. And I was talking about that earlier, but it occurs to me that like it would have been good to give this guy some extra hands, because he only comes with the hands that are on the figure. And the right hand is an open hand. And of course, I'm doing it wrong. I'm doing the Mr. Spock thing. The right hand is set up where like all three of these fingers are fused together into a flipper. So, that's to be expected. It's good that they gave him an open hand, and I would definitely want to have an open hand on this particular figure. I usually like to have gripping hands over any other kind of hand, but I would like to have an open hand on the Penguin just because of like the unique shape of his hands. But I probably would have had the gripping hand on the right hand and had the open hand on the left hand, and they did the reverse. So, so yeah, this version of the Penguin is definitely a lefty, because he's going to be holding his umbrella with the left hand. Now, he does have the cool Mcfarlane wrist articulation, though, so you can pretty much move this wrist around any which way you want. But they did the thing that Mcfarlane does that I always think is really strange, where like, whatever color you think that wrist joint should be, they're going to color it the opposite. Like, I feel like this wrist joint, you see where the cuff ends, and that's where the glove should start, but instead they made his wrist joint white. Why did they make his wrist joint white? His wrist joint should be black. This kind of stuff drives me nuts. I swear to God. Oh, did I show how far his arms raise up at the sides? That's how far his arms raise up at the sides, in case I didn't show that. We'll do it again. So yeah, he should have black wrist joints. I don't know why they went with. Did Damien Ristori ask, did I get the Duckmobile? Unfortunately, no, I was not able to get that. So maybe, hopefully, some point in the future, because I would like to have it. And plus, it comes with the Penguin in his nasty, disgusting Union suit. And who wouldn't want to have that in their house? Anyway, the Penguin doesn't have any mid-torso articulation. For one thing, it would have interfered with the sculpt. And for another thing, just look how thick and chunky that torso is. I don't think it would have given you a whole lot of movement anyway. But he does have a waist articulation that we can turn from side to side and get some expressive posing out of, because like that seems a lot like the way the character did in the movie, right? Kind of tilting from side to side like that. That's good. So you can tilt forward about that far and tilt backward about, I'm afraid I'm going to pop him more, about that far. You can see where his belt is. So technically his shirt should be white underneath that, but I don't really blame him for not wanting to paint it. You're probably not going to see it unless you tilt him all the way back like that anyway. And he definitely is not going to stand up like that. So if you have him on the shelf, he's going to be, at least slightly tilted forward. Legs can only kick up about so far. But again, this guy is just such a chunky little figure. I'm happy we got leg movement at all. I wouldn't be surprised if they'd have been tempted to just be like, let's just make it all solid from like the waist down. There's no real reason he has to have all that articulation, right? But no, they did go ahead and give him some leg articulation. So and then his knee bends not quite 90 degrees. So again, thick, chunky figure, and then that knee joint rotates all the way around. And then it looks like he's got ankle articulation in a sense, but it doesn't seem to want to stay in any one position. The pants legs, I guess, are kind of holding it up there a little bit, but you can see I got this one to go up a little bit that far and go down a little bit that far, and then he's got toe articulation just to show off. This is probably one of the most poorly articulated Mcfarlane figures I've ever had, at least out of the DC Multiverse line, and I'm not even complaining about it because like I said, it's the Penguin. What are you gonna do with him? But it is the sort of thing where I'm being honest, his articulation is not great. But also at the same time, if I'm being honest, like, how are you going to get great articulation out of the Penguin anyway? So I think they did a good job considering you see what they have to work with here. Like considering just the anatomy of the character and the fact that he's a guy who's wearing like a suit with a vest and everything like that. It's like I think they did a great job with it, considering what they had to work with. I love the waist articulation. I think that's great. The arm articulation is really good. That's definitely up to usual Mcfarlane standards. Everything else, like I said, is just kind of like, hey, it's the best they could do with this guy. Like, what are you expecting? It's not like I'm going to be putting the Penguin into kung fu poses or anything anyway. Quack fu, maybe. Like Howard the Duck. Dude Stuff 2025 is here, and he says, was thinking about getting some of these Mcfarlane DC. Well, hey, get them while the getting's good. That's what I say. I know that these Batman Returns figures, they sold out pretty quick, but you might be able to still find some for some good prices on the secondary market. Maybe. I know Max Shrek is expensive. I know the Penguin Commandos are expensive, but hopefully you can at least get Batman and Catwoman and Penguin like I was able to do. Anyway, so I think we've talked about his articulation enough. Let's go ahead and put the jacket back on him, and then we'll gear this guy up and get a look at what he looks like when he's all geared up. So, and like I said, this jacket is made out of felt, which is kind of unusual. Like, I don't really see a whole lot of jackets made out of felt on action figures. Like, I think the old X-Men movie Rogue figure had a felt jacket many years ago. But I guess they were going for that sort of like wool sort of look. And I guess they seamed it this way to kind of represent a lapel somewhat. But it is kind of weird that the seam is folded outwards rather than inwards at the edge there. And he's got nice loose sleeves that should still give you plenty of room to move these arms around somewhat. But obviously it's gonna hinder it somewhat, but it's not gonna be that bad, I don't think. Damian Ristori asks, are you looking to pick up the 89 figs? And Dude Stuff says nothing exactly in particular. So I think they were talking to each other, but it also ties back into what I was saying. So it's all connected. So yeah, I did, like I said, I just ordered I pre-ordered not long ago, and then they got them really fast. I was surprised at how fast they got them after they were announced. From Big Bad Toy Store, I got the Joker and Bane on the way from Dark Knight trilogy. So, and I know the Joker sold out really quick. I don't remember if Bane is sold out, but I know the Joker, like, I noticed he was sold out, like, very soon after I had pre-ordered it. So there is the umbrella in his hand. I had to kind of work it into his hand a little bit. His hand does seem like it's a little bit small to me, and the umbrella seems like it's a little bit thick at the handle again, like I was talking about. But he can hold it fairly well, and since he's got the cool Mcfarlane wrist articulation, he can kind of like point it like he's shooting at somebody. Let's see if we can get him into like a two-handed grip with it, like it's a rifle. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Too bad, like I said, the head kind of the head articulation probably could be a little bit better. But well, actually, probably couldn't be any better considering the long hair and the collar and the anatomy and all that kind of stuff. It would have been nice if it could have been better. I think that's what I meant to say. And then I was trying to fit this hat on him earlier, but it seems like the hat might be a little too small to fit on the character properly. So I think I had a little too much forehead showing. I'm gonna really force it on there. But hey, at least I know if I'm having to force it on there, it's not going to fall off easily. Dude stuff says Batman stuff always sells out the quickest for DC. I think yeah, that like overall that might be true, but especially with the movie stuff, like the movie stuff tends to get snatched up like really quickly from what I've noticed. And even Batman and Robin, which is probably the least popular Batman movie, although it's not my least favorite, not anymore. But yeah, like Batman and Robin, those figures sold out really fast, and Poison Ivy is expensive on the aftermarket. And then Damian Ristori says, "Sorry, I was asking you, Alan. You don't need to apologize. I was asking you, Alan, if you were interested in '89 Batman ones that were due later in the year. Hey, I'm always interested in 1989 Batman." Now I know that they had that Joker figure that they'd announced, the Jack Nicholson Joker. Just for being clear, I know they had that one that they announced, but I have no idea when that's actually coming out. It wasn't in the listing of stuff that Mcfarlane had put out recently, but I know I've seen like the pictures of the figure, so I know it's they're planning on putting it out. Maybe they just need to work out the licensing rights for Jack Nicholson, or manage to make a figure that looks vaguely enough like Jack Nicholson that they don't get sued. Like I've shown it here on this channel before. I've got him over here. I made my own Jack Nicholson Joker figure, but because I was holding out hope that Mcfarlane would eventually do a legitimate Jack Nicholson Joker. Rather than do a movie accurate version, I decided to make mine based on the Kenner Sky Escape Joker figure. So that scratched my itch for having a Jack Nicholson Joker, even though it's technically not how he appeared in the movie. But, I had this figure when I was a kid, and it was my favorite Joker figure at that time. So it does kind of scratch that nostalgic itch for me. Vicky Vale and Bob the Goon are rumored. Oh, hell yeah. Look, like I was talking about this on the last episode, and like I said, any character they make from Batman 1989, I would buy an action figure of. I would gladly buy any character from that movie in action figure form. Make Alexander Knox, make Alicia, make Lawrence with the boombox. I don't know what the character's name was, but the big black guy that Batman fights in the bell tower and throws him down the stairwell. That guy, make a figure of that guy. That guy was able to hold his own against Batman, and he was just like a normal henchman. How often do you see a normal? He wasn't like a supervillain. He wasn't Killer Croc. He wasn't Bane, and he was giving Batman a really hard time. That guy, like he needs a character name for one thing. They need to give him a character name. Like I remember, there was one of the henchmen in that scene in the novelization was called Big Mike. So I kind of like to call that character Big Mike, because if any character from that scene should be called Big Anything, it's that guy, and Mike's as good a name as any. That guy was a G. Like that guy was probably one of the greatest henchmen of all time, and he doesn't even have an official name. It's just sad. But yeah, call the character Big Mike and make an action figure of him. That's a dude that deserves an action figure made of him. So yeah, I would buy an action figure of the roasted dude, as the soundtrack calls him. Yeah, Carl Grissom. Who wouldn't want? I just want a Jack Palance action figure. Period. I don't really even care what character it is. It could be Dracula. It could be Curly. It could be him hosting Ripley's Believe It or Not. Just give me a Jack Palance action figure. You are my number one guy. Exactly. The great thing about Jack Palance is he got cast in that role because they were trying to think of an actor that you would believe as playing Jack Nicholson's boss. that was like one of the few actors that they were able to they were able to buy him as intimidating Jack Nicholson. It's kind of the same thing that I always say about Christopher Lee playing Saruman, and how Christopher Lee like really wanted to play Gandalf, but he wound up being cast as Saruman. He did it anyway because he's a pro. But honestly, as much as I love Christopher Lee, and I do think he would have been great Gandalf, you kind of have to cast Christopher Lee as Saruman over Gandalf, because who are you going to get that's able to intimidate Christopher Lee? Like, seriously, Gandalf's got to be like a little bit intimidated by Saruman, and if you don't have an actor that can pull that off, it's just not going to be believable. So I was going to look up here real quick. Jack Palance. Jack Palance. Tim Burton, because there's a funny story there, and I want to make sure I'm not misquoting him. So I'm going to try to see if I can find it. Jack Palance issues with Tim Burton. Yeah, here we go. On the commentary for the original Batman, Burton just mentions he had a hard time working with people, and Burton called action for Jack to come out of the bathroom and walk over to his desk. Palance apparently didn't hear him. When Burton asked him what's going on, I guess Palance took offense and chewed Burton out. He said something to the extent of, "Do you know who I am? I've been in this business for 50 years, boy." Burton said it was like an out-of-body experience. Yeah, that's the other thing I remember is the he doesn't say it in this one, but I've been in this business for 50 years, boy. How long have you been in it? Like, Jack Palance was. It's probably not too difficult to be intimidating to Tim Burton in those early. Maybe now Tim Burton's finally got himself some chutzpah. But at that time, yeah, Burton would have been very easily intimidated. He was hiding under his desk from Sean Young when she was trying to get cast as Catwoman. You know he's not going to want to be dealing with Jack Palance. But yeah, Carl Grissom, Alexander Knox, Bob the cartoonist who draws the picture of Batman. You should put a little more gore into the fangs, though. All right. What a dick. They can make a figure of Bob the cartoonist, and I would buy it. I would buy that character. Give him an extra head so you can swap it out with Bob Kane, like an extra Bob Kane head, so you can put that on there. And because Bob Kane was originally going to do that. He was originally going to play that cartoonist. That's why it's Bob the cartoonist. And he wasn't able to for scheduling reasons, apparently. And so Bob Kane actually got like a ghost to his cameo appearance in the movie. Bob Kane never does any of his own work. I guarantee you he didn't draw that picture of the bat in the business suit either, despite Bob Kane's signature being on it. Would not be the first time that Bob Kane signed his name to artwork that he did not do. Lone Dragon says, did they consider Ronnie Cox? I don't know, maybe. I don't know if even he would have been able to pull it off, though. Great actor as he is, and RoboCop is one of my favorite movies of all time. So it would have been cool to see. Ronnie Cox in a uh, in in Batman. I'm sorry. So that would have been awesome. So anyway, I guess that's pretty much it for the Penguin. He's a really cool figure. I do feel like this hat is a little bit too snug, like I said, but I was able to eventually get it on him. But might want to try a hairdryer on or something like that before you get it on there. But yeah, I think that's probably gonna be thumbnail pose. And the cape can kind of, I say cape, but jacket, whatever you want to call it. It has a little bit of posability too, just because it's felt, so you can kind of easily mold it into whatever kind of shape you want to a certain extent. There's a reason they make hats out of felt. I'm just saying. So, but yeah, so that is it for the Penguin. Oh, here, just real quick, so we can see him next to another short little guy. He's still taller than a Ninja Turtle. Just throwing that out there. Not quite as tall as this Ninja Turtle. This one's a little bit taller. And go ahead and see him next to the Joker. We can see some of the heights on these figures. Batman, unfortunately, I left him over there on the other side of the room when I took the photo of him, so we can't get a shot of him next to Batman. I probably should have thought about that. Oh, well. Damian Rosori says, I don't know if it's true or not, but wasn't Billy Williams originally intended to become Two-Face in the sequel or the third movie? I could be wrong, but I'm sure that was the plan. Yeah, originally, that was the plan. The reason that Billy D. Williams took the role was because he knew that character would become Two-Face eventually, and that he would get to play the villain in one of the sequels. But unfortunately, by the time that they actually made the movie with Two-Face as the villain, Joel Schumacher had taken over, and he felt like Billy D. Williams wasn't intimidating enough, is what he said. So some people say that it might have been for other reasons that I won't get into right now, but it's reasons that people complain enough about in modern day stuff. Personally, I never really cared that Billy D. Williams, a black man, had been cast as Harvey Dent, a white character. That never bothered me at all when I was a kid. Because I was just thinking of Harvey Dent is just supposed to be like this handsome, charming guy, and Billy D. Williams is this handsome, charming guy. Oddly enough, the thing that bothered me more about Billy D. Williams playing Two-Face is that he had a mustache. And I'm like, how are you gonna do Two-Face with a mustache? Hey, is he gonna have to shave off his mustache? By that time, Billy D. Williams was just it would have been like asking Cesar Romero to shave off his mustache. It was just kind of part of who he was at the time. And I know there's movies that you see him in where he doesn't have a mustache. I'm pretty sure he didn't have a mustache. I'm pretty sure he was clean shaven in Brian's Song. And I think when he played Scott Joplin, he was clean shaven. But yeah, most of the time you see him with that mustache. And, they didn't have him shave off his mustache to play Harvey in the first movie. So, is Two-Face going to have a mustache? Is he going to have half a mustache? Did Harvey decide to shave the day before he got acid thrown in his face? I don't know. Bobby Wall says back then actors had a lot of charisma and can actually pull off characters regardless of what they look like. Yeah. But even still, I still kind of feel like Harvey should be a handsome dude. That'd be one thing. I'd say he was probably actually better cast than Tommy Lee Jones. Different ethnicity from the character in the comic or not. I think he was probably actually a better choice to play Harvey Dent than Tommy Lee Jones, just because to me he actually did look more like the comic book character, even if technically he's a white guy in the comic book and he's a black guy like in real life. That didn't really matter too much to me. It's just like I know I noticed it. I wouldn't say, oh, it didn't even occur to me. No, it occurred to me. Like I'm like, oh, they cast Billy D. Williams as Two-Face. That's cool. I think I was just like more of a fan of Billy D. Williams and I didn't really care. Like I knew that there was a difference there, but it just wasn't important. It wasn't really important. It was Lando Calrissian, man. He's the coolest dude in the galaxy. Like how am I going to complain about that? And of course, he did finally get to play Two-Face in the Lego Batman movie, and I have the Lego Two-Face minifigure that looks just like Harvey Dent, looks just like Billy D. Williams in Lego form, and he's wearing the same suit that Harvey wore in Batman 1989. That's they actually had his suit look like Harvey's outfit from the movie, so that was cool. So yeah, we were talking about that in the last episode. Like, I hope that it would be really cool if they did do a Billy D. Williams Two-Face figure. And since they did that in the comic book, the Batman 1989 comic book, I kind of feel like that gives them enough reason that they could do a Billy D. Williams Two-Face figure if they wanted to. Anyway, I've been talking about stuff for like almost an hour now. I did talk about this figure some. For any of the people that are critical of my videos and say he just spends more time talking than he spends on the actual figure, well, here's some ammunition for you. I definitely did not talk about this figure as much as I talked about some other topics. I got kind of distracted. It happens sometimes. But this is a really cool figure, and I'm really happy how it turned out. And I've got one more Batman Returns figure to open up, and it's the one that I was most excited about. So, of course, I had to save this one for last. Normally, I would go ladies first, but since she was the best one, I wanted to make sure that I went out on a high. Oh, yeah, I got Catwoman. And played by my all-time favorite actress, Michelle Pfeiffer. Very cool figure. I'm looking forward to getting her opened up. And then I'm not sure what I'm going to do after that. I know I've got like a bunch of Masters of the Universe, and I know I got a lot more DC stuff to open, and I'm going to try to change it up a bit over the next month or so, and just like not get to the point where I just do like a whole month of opening He-Man and a whole month of opening G.I. Joe or whatever. I want to try to vary it up a little bit just for a while. I might get back to some longer themes later, but I think it'll be a good idea to take a little bit of a break from that and do a little bit more randomization. Dude Stuff asks, Batman Forever versus Batman and Robin. Which one do you guys prefer? Well, it's Batman Forever. It's got to be Batman Forever. Like, for one thing, you got Val Kilmer as Batman. And Val Kilmer, I think, was a way better Batman just in general than George Clooney. Kilmer brought some intensity to it. And you got to have intensity when you play Batman. Hear me roar, indeed. But yeah, like, Clooney did not bring the intensity. And I think he's capable of bringing intensity. I've seen him bring intensity in other movies before, but he certainly didn't in that one. So I'd say just on the fact that Val Kilmer played Batman, I would pick Batman Forever over that. But I think Batman and Robin is just pretty much them trying to do Batman Forever again and not doing as good a job of it. Like that's my honest opinion on that. But while I would not go so far as to say that Batman and Robin is a good movie, I will defend it in certain aspects. I do think it was a very entertaining movie. I've never been bored while I've been watching it, so that's something that I can say for it. I did wind up really enjoying Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. It took me a while to kind of warm up, no pun intended, to that version of the character. But he's having so much fun playing that character. I can't help but appreciate that he's having fun. Don't mind any, but I did have fun watching Arnie as Mr. Freeze, to be honest. Yeah, see, because he's having fun while he's doing it. And so, it's kind of hard to not. not be glad for the guy that he's having fun while he's doing it. I will say that I hate to say it, but I'm pretty sure Uma Thurman is going to be the best Poison Ivy we ever get in live action. Like, and like, I actually like her performance because it is like really campy and over the top, and she's one of the few people I think that knows exactly what kind of movie she's in. This is Chris O'Donnell's second Batman movie with Joel Schumacher, and he still doesn't really know as well what kind of movie he's in as Uma Thurman does. Uma Thurman is just she's giving exactly the performance that movie needs. And I know a lot of people will say that like her performance is like campy or over the top or whatever, but it should be. That's what that requires in that movie. I love John Glover also in that movie where he played the Floronic Man. Jason Woodrue. He wasn't Floronic Man yet in that movie. But I guess maybe he wound up surviving being poisoned by Ivy, and enough of the chemicals that turned her into Poison Ivy seeped into his already poisoned bloodstream and turned him into a plant. Damian Ristori says, just don't mention Bane and I will keep watching. Well, too late, because I had to read the comment. I was not a fan of how they did Bane in that movie. Like I was glad that character got some redemption when Tom Hardy played him. And yes, I did like the Tom Hardy version of Bane. I'll be talking about that whenever that figure comes in and I open that up. Dude Stuff says she did a good job with Poison Ivy. Michelle Pfeiffer did Catwoman good too. Dude, Michelle Pfeiffer, we're going to talk more about her in the next episode, but suffice it to say, I think that her performance as Catwoman was the absolute best. I don't know if I would say she's my absolute favorite Catwoman. We'll get more into that. But I will say that in terms of like portraying Catwoman, like her acting in the movie, that's the best acting I've ever seen of anybody while they were playing Catwoman. I'll get into why and all that kind of stuff. Next episode. That's the next episode. So, but yeah, I really like Uma as Poison Ivy. I thought she was funny and she was sexy, and you know, she was basically like she was playing a drag queen basically, and like doing this Mae West impersonation, but it was all very silly. But she was still able to pull it off. I kind of felt like they dropped the ball with Bane, like I already mentioned. I kind of felt like they dropped the ball, unfortunately, with Batgirl. And nothing against Alicia Silverstone. I'm a big fan of Alicia Silverstone. I really liked her in Clueless, and you know, anybody my age is going to remember her from those Aerosmith videos. and she's like a really talented actress. She's a very talented comedic actress, especially. And as far as I'm concerned, comedy is like the hardest kind of acting to do, and she's just a natural at it. But I do kind of feel like she was a little miscast as Batgirl, and I think she still probably could have pulled it off, maybe if she'd had a good script and a good director to work with. But unfortunately, she was in Batman and Robin, and it's kind of unfair of me to say Joel Schumacher's to say he's not a good director, because he has directed some good movies. He is, like, I think, actually a good director. But he was just kind of making a toy commercial when he made Batman and Robin. Like he wasn't really putting the kind of effort into it that I kind of feel like that movie really needed. So yeah, I would put Batman Forever definitely above Batman and Robin. Batman Forever actually is a movie that I go back and rewatch a lot, because it's a fun movie, and I don't have to think. It's a good movie to have on in the background while I'm doing other stuff, because I don't have to pay that much attention to it. You know what I mean? Like I think out of all the Batman movies, Batman Forever is the most popcorn Batman movie. So, and I mean that very much as a compliment. I think pop is the word that Joel Schumacher would like to use to describe it. I think he would approve of my use of the word pop, and he would be flattered. So if you're up there in heaven looking down right now, Joel Schumacher, I remember you apologized for Batman and Robin, and you're forgiven, dude. You're forgiven. I still go and watch Batman and Robin sometimes. It's not a great movie, but like I said, it's not boring. It's entertaining. I get a kick out of it. So it's funny to watch. Like I think I had a much more negative opinion of it before Christopher Nolan kind of saved Batman with the Dark Knight trilogy. And it's like then I had some hope again. And then, like I said, I really liked the Ben Affleck version of Batman. So then I had good Batman movies again after Batman and Robin. So it wasn't the end of the world like I thought it was at the time. And that helped me kind of embrace Batman and Robin a little bit more. So anyway, that's it for this episode. I've now been talking for over an hour, just over an hour. And I need to do some other stuff here today before I got to get to work. And I do want to try to take at least a little bit of a nap because I'm going to be up late. So anyway, please make sure that you like and subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe. If you did enjoy this video, still like and subscribe. Hell, if you didn't enjoy this video, give me a thumbs down, leave a comment, let me know how I talked too much in these videos. Like, hey, if you leave that comment, I know you sat through the whole thing. So let me know what you think about the Penguin and where Danny DeVito fits in with your favorite versions of the character or least favorite versions of the character. Personally, he's definitely near the top for me. I think like my favorite version of the Penguin is probably Burgess Meredith from the 1966 television series. So man, did my title's all messed up. I'll have to fix that in editing. It does that weird sort of thing where it like moves stuff around while I'm typing it. So I got a DC Multiverse XE Theatrical Edition unboxing Delu. Why did you do that? Why did you? Stupid. I'll have to fix it. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Next episode is Catwoman. Make sure you like and subscribe if you don't want to miss that one. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.